here in chapter 4, Abraham, our father. In the previous session, we talked about the fact that Paul was, of course, talking to Jews. He was, of course, talking to the philosophers of his day and others. But in his, early on in this 4th chapter, and of course he didn't say this is the 4th chapter, but early on, as we have it referenced as the 4th chapter, he was appealing to the Jews that it had never been by works. And now he talks about the fact that Abraham is our father, that is, to the Gentiles. Let's read verses 9 through 12 in Romans chapter 4. Now, is this blessing only for the Jews, or is it also for uncircumcised Gentiles? Well, we have been saying that Abraham was counted as righteous by God because of his faith. But how did this happen? Was he counted as righteous only after he was circumcised? Or was it before he was circumcised? Clearly, God accepted Abraham before he was circumcised. Circumcision was a sign that Abraham already had faith and that God had already accepted him and declared him to be righteous, even before he was circumcised. So Abraham is the spiritual father of those who have faith but have not been circumcised. They are counted as righteous because of their faith. And Abraham is also the spiritual father of those who have been circumcised, but only if they have the same kind of faith Abraham had before he was circumcised. What a marvelous thing it is. Again, this is just a follow-on to the last session to continue to hammer down the fact that it's not a result of works. Paul identifies this thing of circumcision. Is it because Gentiles are getting circumcised? You may recall, he actually had Timothy circumcised. He wanted him to be acceptable to Jews, who Timothy would be appealing to, because they were hung up, for lack of a better term. They were roadblocked. They had mental blocks because of the fact that the person who may be appealing to them, was not circumcised. And so Paul had him do it because Paul had this sense that, I'll be all things for all people that I may win some to Christ. So in this particular case for Timothy, Timothy had that sense, even though, we're not in the book of Timothy, but we're using that because we're talking about this. And the point was that Timothy was already a person who had a relationship with the Lord. And so as we look at this text, as he continues to demonstrate that it's not because of something, not only a work, it's not because of work, and it's certainly not because of some right that has been taken with my body that makes me righteous before the Lord. It is what God has done that makes us right. And so he's clear about that. He's clear that no, it was not because of circumcision. He's responding to all of these kinds of, causes and reasons and purposes as to why a person could be in a relationship with God. He wants them to know, no, it's not your works. It is not your circumcision. It's nothing that you've done to your body. It is because of what God has done. It is because of God's mercy. Abraham, he's the Gentile.